Be blessed by the divine. So far, we have understood the effects of mind action. At the very high level, we have seen what is the impact of seeing from a studying or researching from an objective point of view and from a subjective point of view. To summarize, if you're looking from an objective point of view, the mind and consciousness would be like dichotomous. We have the body. Is it clear? We have the body. Inside the body, we have brain, and mind is a function of the body. That is how we have understood the way how our education system, how it has gone through. That is how we have understood. And in the mind, we see consciousness and subconscious mind. That is how it used to be in the school system, the way how we have been taught. This is how we have seen. This is fundamentally different from this is how we are taught based on the Western philosophy, Western way of education. We have the brain. Inside the brain, we have this the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. It's all the functions of the brain. The sensory perception are coming because I have sense organs in the body. This is how the dichotomous theory. This is how we are seeing because of our school education, everything, Western influence. However, the Indian system, we also have in Indian system, we have studied this aspect as well. There are teachers who have seen from this aspect and studied as well. But more predominantly, the Indian school of thought is studies aspect in a subjective phenomenon, meaning starting from body. In the body, we have a mind, and within it, within everything, we have a consciousness or life energy. For everything to function, there is something within. Life energy, consciousness. Udal, manam, uyir. Okay? The consciousness is a function of the energy. And that, since because I'm having this life energy, I have the mind. And since because I have the consciousness, I was able to sense through the functioning of the body. Okay? This is the subjective way of seeing, and from the Indian philosophical way of seeing it. Okay? It's a very important distinction we need to understand. And that's the reason why when we are saying during the exercise and during all the practices, we are seeking to experience what is within. Right? Or our seeking is to know the knower. The fundamental premises within us, there is an order in the function. And that factor is what we are trying to experience. And since most of the time we are at this level, just at the mind level, at the inner body level, inner mind level. Okay. So yesterday, what we saw is sensory perception. What is happening through the sense organs, the sensory perception. At this level, what is functioning and how we are cognizing, we saw that. And once we cognize, that becomes a memory. Right? That becomes a memory. And based on that, we'll that experience, based on the prior experience, we'll discriminate what is happening and what is right and what is wrong. Okay. For this to function at this level, it's basically most other activities when we are performing in the inner mind level only. Okay. At the here, because of the memory, because of what we had before, what we experienced before, and that is continue to influence our day-to-day functions. That is what we call as sanchita karma. Whatever we experience and everything, what that is continuing to roll over. Okay, and that is what we are seeing as habits as well. Okay, and today we'll see the consequence of that. Yesterday we saw the mind as two functions. One as the sensory functions from how we interact with the external world and how we get the knowledge. And because of that, there is a change within us, and how that is affecting, we'll see today. Okay. So at this level, when we function, the moment when we have thoughts, when we interact and know something, we are having a um, okay. Before that, I need to make another very important point. See, this functions at the mind level. One very important uh, realization we need to have is the mind is just the projection of life energy. உயிரின் படர்க்கை நிலையே மனம். Okay. In so far in the schools and the way how the Western philosophy is working, we never see about life energy at all in this concept. Whereas in the Indian system, and we can realize and experience that yes, we do have life energy, and that is the factor which we are trying to see, and the projection of that life energy. உயிரின் படர்க்கை நிலையே மனம். Whatever is happening in the life energy, that is having an impact in the body and mind. Right? If we look at it even more deeper, we are see. Let's say if you are storing something in your laptop or in a memory, okay, where will it have an impact? Where are the places it will have an impact? In the hardware and in the memory as a physical storage. Okay, but even if you look deeper into that level, into the memory layout, right, the changes, actually what is being stored is at the single cell, at the silicon levels, the energy flow. Right? There is a change inherently happened in the change of the energy flow in a single memory cells gate. In a single memory gate, silicon level, there is an energy change. The same thing happens in our body as well. Right? Whatever thoughts and whatever impacts we have, actions we do, not just saves in our brain, it also has an impact within the energy flow within us. Okay, that is a very important fundamental difference here. As a consequence, right, we would from the function of the thoughts, we will be with that flow of energy, we'll be having thoughts, and that will lead to desire. We would we will have a need will arise, and we would seek to fulfill that need. At that point, what happens is two prominent emotions will come out. Okay? Firstly, anger. Anger, the way how we Maharishi defines this, anger is the hindrance to flow of when we had a desire, and the desire is not getting fulfilled. And in our path to get the desire fulfilled, there is a hindrance. And when we want to get past that hindrance, there is a sudden burst of energy. That sudden burst, what we burst to get past that hindrance, is what is anger. Okay. Similarly, worries, we have a desire, and the desire is not fulfillable due to a lot of other circumstantial factors. And the urge within us to continuing to seeking to get that resolved. In that attempt, you will continue to drain more and more energy. Right? That is what is worries. Okay. These two factors adversely affect our ability to see within. Right? Let's see that more in detail here. Imagine the body is like a beaker. Okay. And through a pipe, we are getting water inputs. So the water is like an input. So when we summarize and what we learned so far, okay, how do we get energy? What are the different ways in which we are getting energy? Through food, water, air. The major of that is food. This is our income. And how do we expense it? There are some ways in which we are losing energy as well. Okay? How do you spend energy? Doing work, physical work, then physical work, thinking, or mental activities, mental work. Okay. In this, we are saying thinking or thoughts, and then emotions. Because of the thoughts, because of the experiences, what we had before, we'll be having certain emotions, and that affects our well-being as well. Okay? Now, when you're talking about anger, what is happening is this container, for a brief moment of time, it just blasts open and all the water pours away in just brief moment. Okay, this is what is happening when we get angry. And if you recollect the last time when you got angry, you would have noticed that at the point when you got angry, immediately you feel like the head is getting heated up. You feel like the heart is pumping up faster, because what has happened? You had certain amount of energy in the body. When we got angry, At that moment, there is a sudden burst of energy outside. What is lost is lost. To recoup that lost energy, the body has to work harder to fulfill it. Okay? And you would have noticed that at the time when you got angry, after a few minutes after that, if you notice that in your head, if you touch, it will be hot. Right? Your body itself will be felt a little hot. Have you noticed that sensation? It's similar to in an iron box. When in any medium, when the energy is completely expelled out, you feel like it is uh, hot, right? The way how the medium spends energy out is by spending hot through heat energy, like in an iron box, right? So we are having a big loss of energy. Now, as a consequence, what is we are losing here? Once we saw from the previous framework, at the core of us is the life energy, right? When we expelled this energy, what we are losing is actually the fundamental life energy that is required for our well-being, physical and mental well-being. Right? This is what Thiruvalluvar used to say. Sinam inum சேர்ந்தாரை கொல்லி இனமெனும் ஈமப்புனையை சுடும். Kolli meaning the one who has anger is killing himself. In fact, what we are doing when we get angry is we are committing a fractional suicide. We are killing ourselves when we get angry. So what can we do about this? The moment when you get angry, you are still losing it. And if you control, so there is no point of channelizing it somewhere. You're still going to have a burst. And if you're controlling it, what will happen? You're containing, containing, and containing. At one point, it will going to burst out even harder. Or wherever we are controlling it, at that point, it is going to become like a vengeance. So that may not work out. Right? So the key thing is we need to go back into our first principle. The first principle here is understanding what is anger. Anger, by definition, is a desire. When it is getting stopped, there is a rush to get past the desire. Okay? So, if you clearly notice that here, we need to first clearly understand what is the desire we had at this point and what is stopping it. Okay, at the point when we get this angry, this is what we need to clearly understand. Okay, just think through that. At the point when we get angry, or if you whatever aspect when we got angry about, if we reflect back, this will easily fall into this framework. There would have been something which you had been deeply desiring about, and there would have been a hindrance to that, to your way of thinking, what we wanted to happen, and there would have been a hindrance to that. And we get past that, we'll be able to to get past that, we'll burst it out, and that is what is getting manifested as anger. Okay, this is one very important factor. Why we are learning it here is after doing Kayakalpam, you notice that you are getting more angry. So does it mean that you should not learn Kayakalpam? So actually what happens is we will be having angry even now and after then as well. But then after learning Kayakalpam, you know that you'll have more energy to lose. From 100 units of energy before doing Kayakalpam, when you get angry, if you lose 60%, you use 60 units of energy. After doing Kayakalpam, you'll have 1,000 units of energy in the body. And now, if you lose 60%, you will feel that 600 units of energy is lost. So the difference is very starkly noticeable. You will get to notice that, oh yes, I got angry today. You will be very clearly noticing that I got angry. Okay, that is why we are going through this here, so that you know that what to look for. Okay, if you feel that you are getting you after doing Kayakalpam, after learning and practicing Kayakalpam, you feel that there is enormous amount of energy in our body. Feel very active, and then suddenly you feel like I'm like little tired, very sad, very tired, or I'm becoming more angry. If you at that point when you look back, this will fall into this framework. Okay, one aspect with respect to anger. There is another aspect, which is even slightly we are losing energy. Even without us knowing, we are losing energy, which is worries. Okay? Worries. There is a beautiful name for worries in Tamil called Kavalai. Right? You know the etymology of that name. The etymology is Kavalai is a device. See, in above the wells, they'll be having a plank. Right? In the plank, if you lean one side, the water, the bucket will dip into the well, and if you lean the other side, the bucket will come out and pour the water to the fields. So Kavaline is a device to effortlessly transfer energy out. Right? That is what is happening when we get worried. Right? Even without us knowing, very effortlessly, without much effort, we are draining the energy out of the body, which is what is Kavaline is. Now, what can we do about that? Once again, we need to go to our first principle. The first principle is the definition of worry. The definition of worry is we had a desire. The desire, when it gets stopped, when it is not getting fulfilled, we wanted something to happen, which we could not get that materialized. But then we keep thinking about it, right? Without taking the right action. But and there is a lot of other environmental factors that needs to get aligned to get this job done or this thing done. And when we continue to seek for that to happen, let it happen, we'll end up draining even more energy. So clearly understand what is the desire we have, and for this to fulfill, what are the factors which need to happen. This is all we need to understand here. Okay. Once we look in from that framework, we can completely eradicate worries. We will be able to think through at the desire level, and we can think through from an pending action item point of view and see what we can work over there. All right. So from these aspects, once we see the anger and worries gone through, at the mind level, what will happen is when we function at this level, when you function at the mind level, just thinking that the being of self, me I is coming from what we consider as the body and mind. At that level, we will, if we tend to function, we will be subjecting ourselves into conducting ourselves with ego. As a consequence, we will fall into greed, anger, excessive possessiveness, vanity, and vengeance. The six temperaments. Instead, when we go deeper and see ourselves as a manifestation of consciousness and lead our life from that level, we will have mastery over this mind and body, which is what we are seeking to attain in the overall, in this meditative practice. In overall, once we, as a higher level, this is what we are attaining. Uh, for the purpose of Kayakalpam, what we need to understand is when we get angry and when we get worried, we are losing enormous energy. What? And that energy is my life energy. My health is not just the function of the food or water intake. My health is also a function of my emotional well-being. If I want to be healthy, if I want to be live longer, I need to work on making sure my anger and worries are also addressed. That should be the key takeaway from today. வாழ்க வளமுடன். If anyone have any questions, we can take that.